Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually have two questions, and I'm going to do one that I think is pretty quick first.
Yeah.
People frequently ask the question about world peace, and it seems that your response is generally along the lines of,
What they always mean is, when will the world want everything to be the way I want it to be? That's what every person who asks for world peace is really looking for. When will they agree with us?
that's perfect, because my piece of that is I'm not really looking for everyone to be the same. I'm not looking for sameness, just acceptance everywhere. So can't we get to a point at some time that there is diversity and people are able to explore the differences and see what they like, see what they don't like, but still live in peace, where we all get along and just accept each other for who we are and what our differences are?
It's what our work is about, and it's what your work is about. In other words, what we're teaching is coming into alignment with who you are, and in doing so release the struggle and strain that makes you want to push against other things. What we teach is understanding the laws of the universe, so that you create your own reality, so that you are not blaming others. In other words, no one goes out in a battle of any kind against someone and says, I'm stabbing you or shooting you or bombing you because I'm not good at aligning with my own inner being. No one ever says that. What they're always saying is, you need to be different so that I can feel good, which means there's a rampant belief in conditional love on this planet. And the condition is, as long as I'm looking at something that doesn't make me feel good, something has to change. So maybe I can convert you through my propaganda, or maybe I can convert you through my dialogue. That's what they often hope for in the beginning. But then as they gather together in their fearful, vulnerable masses, then they decide, well, if we can't get them to agree that peacefulness is the way, then we'll just force it. And then you see how not peaceful that forcefulness becomes, you see. So you just can't get there from there. You can only get there from the premise, and you have to really mean it. Everyone must be able to choose to create the reality that they are choosing to create. And if you say everyone, that means you too, which means you are also assigning yourself the same freedom that you are assigning them. But you just cannot get around it. As long as you need any other to be different so that you can feel better, you are in some sort of bondage. And that's not the peace or harmony or happiness that any of you are looking for. Now, of course, whenever we take any extreme, and that's often what happens in conversations like this, or conversations around the planet about world peace or about war or about any contentious conversation, it is almost always coming from this perspective. It's people that are talking about what has manifested. They're quarreling over the spoils of manifestation. They're talking about what has manifested. They're cutting up the pies of money, or the pies of property rights, or the pies of intellectual property rights. They're trying to slice it all up and divvy it all out, completely forgetting that they have the ability to create and recreate and continue to add to. It's such a bogus and flawed premise to say, well, someone else has too much of something and therefore we have to go into battle to get some of it back, when the reality of it is, you as individuals and as collective consciousness are continually turning thoughts to things, you see. So the reason that there is not more world agreement is because people are too far out in the specifics of things, quibbling over the manifestations that have already happened, not understanding the abundance of the vortex. So you are right, and you're on the right track when you draw this conversation away from the specifics of war, or away from the specifics of battle, and you put it into a more general sense of, can't we just find harmony? Can't we all find a way of feeling good? And the answer to that is yes, but you have to accept that almost everyone who is doing almost everything is doing it because they really believe they will feel better if they can get that thing they're doing done. Almost no one is starting from the inside out. Almost no one is coming into alignment with source and then following their inspiration. that is what is going to be required for the world to come into peace. It's going to be a whole lot of individuals who have found their freedom and their harmony with themselves. But you can't stand around and wait for that to happen. You've got to find it for yourself here and now, you see. And every time we have a discussion like this, it means you're pointed not at finding your own harmony, but still pointed at them finding their harmony before you can really accept your own. You see. That was a big old nugget.
So could there ever be a time when the little ones who keep coming back, who are further advanced and more evolved than we are now, over time, that cycle keeps going on and on, will there ever be a time when that does come together, where there is true harmony everywhere?
No. Because true harmony everywhere defies the contrast that is necessary to expansion, and that matters so much more.
Got it.
You live in an environment, in a universal environment, where you've just got to suck it up, buttercup. You just got to accept that there will always be diversity, and it will really help you if you will accept that the diversity is a good thing. Then you choose from the diversity that way that you want to live, and then you focus on it and therefore live it. And if more people are focusing upon what they want and living it, oh, a glorious life can be experienced by more and more and more. But in the moment you say, I want to live a glorious life, but you need to do something different, you've separated yourself from your power. You've separated yourself from your alignment. You've separated yourself from your ability to be that free, happy being that you were born to be. Some choose isolation. They discover that it's a little easier to not worry about what everybody's doing if they're not so involved in all of it. But you all are a gregarious bunch of humans, and you are more interested in what each other are doing than ever before, and you have your nose in more of each other's business than you ever have before. It's appropriate that it's called Facebook. They could call it Nosebook if they really wanted to. And so here you all are, observing what everybody else is doing, finding your stance for it or against it, and in the process of that, splitting your energy all over the place. And as an individual, you just can't go about life like that, you see. You've got to find your alignment, and once you find your alignment, we're talking about for a day or an afternoon, we're talking about right after 15 minutes of meditation, we're talking about after you've had a massage, or after you've had your feet in the water somewhere, or after you've had a good swim or a good run. We're talking about that alignment that can come so easily and so often to you. So once you found that alignment, now your cork's floating, and now you are more likely to find more thoughts that harmonize with that. And if you are aware of that and focused upon that, then what happens is law of attraction really helps you out by yielding to you more thoughts like that, more thoughts like that, more thoughts like that, until you get a momentum and a practiced vibrational set point, so that the world around you, the universe around you, must show you predominantly those kinds of things. And so if you would allow your world to come to you rather than you going out into everybody else's world and trying to change their world, if you would accept that this is law of attraction, not law of assertion, this is not law of forcing peace and harmony upon others. No matter how good the gift is you think you are asserting into their experience, it is still an effort at asserting that does not go with the laws of the universe. This is law of attraction. It's law of inclusion. It's law of me creating a nucleus, an atmosphere around myself, and practicing it until it's consistent enough, that it's influential enough, that it brings to me those things that I desire. And in the process, many people will come to you. You will be very attractive to them, because everyone is seeking that kind of feeling of well-being, you see. That's the way you teach, through the clarity of your example, not through the clarity of your words or the clarity of your action. And never do you teach anyone anything when you try to get them to stop doing something that they've decided they want to do, no matter how many of you have decided that what they are doing is wrong. You cannot get to harmony by pushing against discord. You just can't do it. Ooh, don't you love knowing that? And doesn't it feel good right this minute to know it? And don't you want to stay in this attitude just a little bit? Or in your mind, are you quibbling with us about the things? Esther quibbled with us quite a bit. Abraham, clearly, you need more information about them. So we talked a lot about the difference between sympathy or empathy, which means focusing on whatever it is until you feel like they do, or compassion, which is what Source is all about, where you are able to hold your vibration of well-being about someone no matter where they are in their own process. So you don't resonate with their sickness. Instead, you see them as whole. You are seeing them. You're not ignoring them. You're not pretending that they don't exist. You're not hearing them. You're just not going to the vibrational depths of despair that they are going to. Instead, you are knowing their wellness. So sometimes when we have conversations like this, people will say, well, Abraham, you teach selfishness. And we say, indeed we do. Because if you are not selfish enough to find your own alignment with your own source energy, then you don't have anything to give anyone anyway, you see. Then they say, well, you just want us to put our head in the sand? Yeah, and while it's in there, meditate for a minute. You just want us to put our head in the sand and ignore what's really going on around us? And we say, we understand that that is not a practical thing. But we also know that if you will give more attention to things that cause you to feel good, so that you are more often in alignment with your clarity and your true power and your true point of attraction, because when law of attraction is responding to your inner being, oh, it is a mighty attraction. And when you are in concert with your inner being, oh, there is a mighty attraction. So if you want to be of value to the world, of course you must watch your programs and you must be somewhat informed. This is a world that is interconnected and you can't live in it without knowing of it. We acknowledge that. So you explore the contrast and you know what you don't want. I certainly do not want terrorism. What do I want? I want people to live happily ever after. I certainly do not want surprise attacks on nightclubs and airports. What do I want? I want people to move about in a feeling of freedom and in a feeling of well-being. No one watches anything that is unwanted without putting a corresponding rocket of desire into their vortex. And so you must look with us, if you want to really feel good, at the incredible, amazing, wonderful vortex that you all globally are creating together. And that's what you're catching a glimpse on when you say, well, won't there ever be a time? Because you can feel this vortex, you can sense this vortex, you can feel the individual and collective well-being of this vortex, but you can't line up with this vortex for the world. You can only line up with this vortex for you. Ooh, biggest nugget ever. This vortex is enormous. It is life-giving. It is the life that will be given to generation after generation after generation after generation. What a magnificent contribution you all are making. We are not critical of your exploration of contrast. We are appreciative because the process is working for all of us, and you are creating this vortex which any of you could today align with and experience the benefit of that alignment. But you can't align on behalf of the entire world, or even on behalf of everyone in this room, or even on behalf of your own family. You can only align for you, and through the clarity of your example, teach your alignment through your obvious display of genuine happiness. And more and more and more and more and more will line up with that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Something more?